Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Jeff Blankenberg, and as we do every Tuesday, I am here to host office hours. So this next hour is dedicated to answering your questions about Alexa development, voice experiences, whatever you'd like. I'm here to try and do my best to answer those questions. So whatever you may have, feel free to drop them in the chat, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. I can see both of them, and I would love to chat with all of you. So let me know what you're thinking. Benjamin Anderson, I know you posted it about a half an hour ago, but I have already captured your feedback about the notification API and how you'd like to be able to see that outside of SMAPI. And so I've added that to my list of things. We can see my list here. I'll continue to work on this as we go through the session. But I want to make sure that I mention last week, I really sparked a lot of interest with folks when we started talking about requests, things that you guys wish Alexa did, or challenges that you found that you wish there was a solution to. Office hours is for that too. And so while I kicked it off and kind of made last week a bit special in that way, we gathered something like 75 pieces of feedback. Don't feel like you can't talk to me or ask those kinds of things anytime. If there's something that comes to mind as you're working on your project and you're like, man, I wish this worked a little different, or I wish I had the ability to do X, Y, or Z, those are the things I want to hear from you. So in addition to your questions, which I'm more than happy to help with, I want to make sure that we have a way to make sure you guys can provide feedback back to the product team. And I am the vehicle for that. So good morning, TradeLast. Hello. What is the most common reason, this comes from Mujahid Jaffer. What is the most common reason as to why a user doesn't get a card asking for permission from an Alexa skill in the app while in development? I'm not aware of situations in which you would send the dialog to request a permission card and the user doesn't get the card. Boy, that's a good question, Mujahid. I'm not aware of a situation in which if you send the dialog requesting permission, that should launch a card in the user's Alexa app. So you're asking for what the most common reason why that wouldn't happen. I'm not aware of any reasons why that shouldn't happen. So while I fully acknowledge that it may not happen sometimes, technology being what it is, I feel like, maybe if you can give me some more clarification or what you're trying to do, maybe I can help a little bit there. TradeLast said also, if there's a good master list of requests you have, it would be good to cross-check them with user voice to see if any are represented and can be upvoted there. Agreed. One of the things that I'm doing is using user voice and using a lot of the feedback that you guys give me. We have a program internally called Voice of the Skill Builder, and I am using all of your feedback, including your questions, because a question leads to feedback in the same way that Mujahid's question about the permission card. It is a question, and I want to make sure that we get you an appropriate answer, but it's also feedback, because this means that something is failing sometimes, and we want to make sure that we're talking to the team about why something's failing or why that isn't working the way that someone expects it. So there's good feedback in every question that you guys ask, for sure. It means something's not clear in the docs or something isn't working properly, and I'm trying to make sure that all of that stuff is covered and represented when we talk to our product teams. So, you guys ever had Captain Crunch Crunch Berries? I literally just had a bowl of it 10 minutes ago. And I feel like my teeth are all red and blue. I've got stuff in my teeth. Sorry to be a little gross about that, but like, that cereal tears up the roof of your mouth. Man, it's so good though. So good. Oh, hello, Tolkar. So Mujahid, if you have any other clarification you can give me, I would love to dig in deeper with you. But it shouldn't be common that you wouldn't get a permission card. I think I take that back. I did think of a reason just now why you would not receive a permission card, and that would be if the user has already been granted the permission. I don't think that they'll get a card for that. If they've already granted the skill the permission, and then you try to send the permission card again, I don't think that they'll receive it. But that's about the only thing I can think of that would be a valid reason why. Make sure I'm grabbing your questions. I have to open up Twitch to do that. So it doesn't. Oh, is that a YouTube? Was that a YouTube question? Was a YouTube question. I'll go there too. See if I can. That didn't work. Trying to get over to the Alexa Devs channel where I can see the office hours. Good. And now I can get this question. The question from Steve, which is there anything about being in development state that would affect how permissions are handled? I don't believe so. They should be identical in my book. I would expect them to be identical. The only consideration that I can give to this is that you've already approved that permission somehow. But I don't know. There's more to think about there. Old Zulu, how are you, sir? Data-driven skills. Good to see you. I do look deep in thought. I'm trying to think about the questions and the responses that are here. TradeLast just had his 12th skill certified. That's awesome. Congratulations. Drop a little promo. Give us a, you know, it'd be awesome, TradeLast. Give us a quick link to it. Can you do that? If your skill's been published, can you give us a little quick link action? Am I frozen? I don't think I'm frozen. Am I frozen? Do you guys not see me? Brownboy 1545 says, why is the man's frozen on my screen? I don't think I'm frozen. It looks like it's working to me here. So I was there standing still for a second. I'll try not to do that as much. I think I have aspirations to go back and revisit my Star Wars databank skill. I mean, the skill itself works well, but I have a lot more data to add to it. So I think I'm gonna spend some time in my free time, right? Quote fingers, free time, adding more stuff to the database. I think that's something I want to work on. Fill that thing in. All right, let's see. This is probably a silly thing, Mujib, but I also noticed in your code sample, you say, I'm returning responsebuilder.speak, but responsebuilder is missing an E. Is it possible you have a simple typo? Well, pardon me. I just bumped something here behind me. I don't know if you guys have seen this behind me here. It's a Thanos glove. So that's a thing. Workable fingers, sound effects, lights, right? We don't fool around here. The Thanos glove is in fact not Alexa enabled. Lock those fingers back down. But I bumped it and it made that noise. There's a lot of toys in this room. Taking up a lot of space. Yeah, that's a pretty cool Infinity Gauntlet. I agree. I picked that up a couple of years ago, right when not Endgame, the first one. Infinity War came out. All right, I missed a bunch. Let's see if we can go back. Goldzula says, what do I think of Justice League and the Falcon? I think it's different than WandaVision, and I think that it's, I mean, we're only one episode in, right? So I feel like it's pretty awesome, though, just because it's more Marvel, right? And the thing that I think they're doing interesting with these TV shows is wrapping threads together and making you realize that they had hidden all of these little nuggets in all of the movies. And if you go back and look, like, that thing was always there, and you just never realized it. Okay, that was a typo from you in the message. That's what I thought. I just wanted to check. Oh, cool, Trade Last. So your latest skill is another sentiment analysis one? The third variation of using sentiment analysis in different APIs. That's cool. Also, for those of you that are watching here, I can drop this on the screen. If you guys don't know this, there is a Slack that you can go to where lots of people are having conversations every day about how do I do this, or how do I solve this problem, or where did you guys think about this? Alexa.design/Slack. You can just jump over there and join. I will tell you, it's been a fantastic community for me already, and the number of people joining continues to grow every day. So I'm really quite happy with how that's going. So Alexa.design/Slack. Tolkar wants to know if I have any info on how many new skills are published daily. No, I don't have that data, unfortunately. I'm sure someone inside Amazon does, but I don't have access to that. So no, I do not know the answer to how many new skills are published daily. Sorry. Not off topic, though. You guys are welcome to ask questions. If something crosses your mind, let's talk about it. If I can answer it, I definitely will. I also, speaking of that Infinity Gauntlet, I also have a Mandalorian helmet. I also have an Iron Man helmet and a Poe Dameron helmet and a Master Chief helmet. Yeah, there's no shortage of nonsense in here. W. Giorgio, do we need to move to CloudFront for content delivery to our published skills? If so, how do we go about that? W. Giorgio, I don't think you need to. I mean, you can do that, but I don't know that you need to. I'm curious why you're asking if we need to move. You should be very capable of having everything just live inside your Lambda and maybe an S3 bucket or something. But no, you don't have to use CloudFront. It certainly helps if you want to distribute and do more kind of localization. But no, I don't think you have to do that in general. LG wants to know whether IPA is explicitly needed to be used in conversation. No. So I think you're referring to the International Phonetic Alphabet IPA. You do not need to use it, but there are times certainly where you want a word to be pronounced a certain way. And IPA is a fantastic way to do that. We actually support 2 different phonetic alphabets. Let me bring up my browser. So we can go to Alexa IPA. I think this is what you're referring to, LG. So let me know if I'm headed down the wrong path. But for those of you guys that don't realize this is actually pretty awesome. So inside phoneme, the phoneme tag that we can use, so I can mark up my speech to look like this. And what this will do is use the IPA alphabet to pronounce pecan and pecan. Or I guess maybe this is pecan and this is pecan. So it's allowing you to take the same spelling and pronounce it different ways. Because what it actually does is uses this phoneme tag to identify, well, I didn't show my screen at all. So my apologies up until right now. You can see here, if I go back to phoneme, that right here, this phoneme tag using the IPA alphabet allows you to say pecan or pecan. And so you can use all of these different libraries, but we also support the XSAMPA phonetic libraries, phonetic alphabet as well. So in either case, LG, you can use either of those, but you don't have to use any of them. You can just pass your speech back and it will turn it back into, you pass your text back, it'll turn it back into speech. But if you have, like I said, if you have very specific, very, very specific pronunciation, then you can use the appropriate library. So you can see how all we really need to do is provide this alphabet and the phonetic pronunciation here. And so in this case, this is bottle, this is frozen, this is blossom. But each one of those is the phonetic sound for that word. So hopefully that helps. Let's see if I can grab some of these questions. I'm going to take, W. Georgia, I'm going to take your question. I'm just going to add that to my list. And can you change between pecan by user geography? You can data-driven skills. I mean, again, this is something that I tell people all the time with everything that you do in your Lambda. Once you're in your Lambda code, you can do anything you want to do. The catch would be is that you'd need to know how granular you want to get with the user's locale. So as an example, you often hear pecan in the south of the United States, where pecan tends to be west and north. And so if you could get the user's location, which you can do, right? You can get their GPS coordinates, you can get the city and state that they say that their devices are in. So, excuse me. So in that case, you could say, oh, they're in this geographic region of a country. I want to say it this way. But you would have to have some kind of conditional statement to manage that. You would need to be confident that you have that capability. But yes, you 100%, you could change the pronunciations of your words to accommodate different geographies and locales without question. Benjamin Anderson says, this isn't a question, but I built a skill which takes several photos from my security camera feed, sends the images to Azure's for AI image detection, and returns a description of the person at the door. Well, that's super cool, man. You don't share that code anywhere, do you? If you could provide a link to a GitHub or something, I think people would love to see that. That's awesome. Hey, Joe Mo Code's here, everybody. Welcome, Joe. It's good to see you, sir. It's already 12:18. And we're moving here. What else is going on with everybody? We're here at 12:18. Yeah, I was going to say we just changed Jomo's name to Genocide. That doesn't sound good. But it's amazing how just changing one vowel sounds like an awful, awful act. So LG over on YouTube, did I answer your question about IPA? I want to make sure that I nailed that. I didn't see anything else from you, but I want to make sure that I was clear on that answer. Also, for Benjamin Anderson, you mentioned the security camera feed thing. I'm curious what the latency is on that, because I want to do that with baseball cards. I want to be able to hold out a baseball card, have the camera recognize that it's a card shape, throw it off to a cloud service to do some detection, and then log that thing for me and say, oh, now this is in the database or whatever. Muji, this is every Tuesday. We do this every Tuesday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So once a week for an hour. But then, as I mentioned earlier, we also have a Slack, which I have the URL for right here on the screen. That is like a full-time 24/7 office hours, being supported by the developer community as a whole. A lot of the people that are here in the chat are also there. And it's a great way to get some answers or have conversations or even network with other people that are building stuff for voice. But I can't recommend the Slack enough. You definitely should check it out. Jomo, that sounds pretty cool. Image recognition on birds, open source project from a Logitech webcam. Joelwork says, I've got code that sends an Alexa notification when my camera detects an intruder. We should spend a whole day just talking about all the cool projects you guys are building. This is awesome. Data-driven skills is writing a book about Alexa skill development in Python. This is incredible. I love all the work you guys are doing. This is amazing. Maybe I'll use that book as a way for me to learn some Python. I've dabbled in Python, but I'm far more comfortable in JavaScript. Hey, Witters, you're lying. You do not have an Alexa-controlled beer fridge. I need pics or videos or something, or it didn't happen. I need evidence on this one. An Alexa-controlled beer fridge. Does the fridge drive to you? Is it a robotic fridge? Does the door open and it fires a beer into the air? Are you just setting the temperature of the beer fridge? I need more information about how you're controlling this fridge. But I'm excited to see it, man. You can set the temperature and get the temperature. Okay, that's still legit. But I was imagining you're sitting on your chair in front of some basketball this weekend, and you're like, tell beer fridge to get me a beer. And it just like opens the door and there's like a chute and it just fires that thing out, and you just catch it in the air and crack it open and half the beer pours out, but it's awesome. Anyway, I think you should do that too. I think you should build the beer launcher. It's also good. It's also good to defend against intruders. Beer fridge, defend the house, and then it just starts firing silver bullets. It's an old reference to a Coors Light. But maybe we make something like that happen. Gosh, we got to stop with my stream of consciousness. Bad choice. We don't want me thinking about a beer cannon in the house. King Strunker says, I did something recently with home security system. My home automation skill was automatically arm Alexa guard mode when my phone disappears from my Wi-Fi radio. This skill is my new favorite thing. You can call any routine you want via REST call, and it's free and super fast. That's awesome. Are you guys sharing any of this stuff? Are you guys writing blog posts? Are you putting a GitHub repository out there? God, this sounds so cool. Jalwar, can you give me a good link or code to run an Alexa skill on a timer? Say, read out my GPS location as I drive along the road. So what you're looking for is something we call skill resumption. This is still a feature that's in developer preview, but it's the idea that the skill can pop up, tell you something, and then like put itself away, and then you can run a timer however you run a timer, and then pop back up every 2 minutes or whatever and do that stuff. But Jalwork, what you're looking for is something called skill resumption, and you'll have to apply to get into the developer preview. But it went developer preview at Alexa Live last year in July. So I have to imagine it's been coming along. It should be more public soon, I would guess. I mean, I don't actually have any info on that, but that would be my guess. Hubuma1. If we're talking about projects, I'm wrapping up writing an Alexa skills book and have a skill that needs a bit of polishing before I publish it. It takes advantage of mobile devices like Echo Frames and Echo Loop. That's cool. How does it take advantage of the mobile devices? Tell me more about what that does. Steve is doing a fantastic job of promoting all of our work here. The YouTube question about when the office hours are, they're always at the same time on Tuesdays as we are right now for this hour. But there is a show on Wednesdays. There's a show on Thursday called Alexa and Friends. And it's interviews with all sorts of incredibly smart people about things related to voice and Alexa. Benjamin Anderson, when you say the latency isn't too bad, is it seconds? Is it minutes? Just curious what that is. I got you, Hubuma1. I want to hear more about your mobility. Sounds super cool. Everybody's writing books too. I love it. Hello, Nagesh. Welcome. Jawwork. Everybody's doing a fantastic job in the comments. This has been a great conversation so far. But I don't see a lot of questions. I love that you guys are talking about your projects, though, and I will challenge all of you. I'm going to get right up in the microphone. All of you need to write a blog post. You need to have a blog. You need to have a place where you share the stuff that you're doing. Even if you feel like somebody else has already written it better or faster or more concisely, I don't care. I want you guys to all take the time. If you're writing all this code and creating all these cool projects, take the time to tell people about it. You'll be amazed at what happens. It's absolutely awesome. Data-Driven Skills has a blog at omwtm.com. Mine is blankenblog.com if you're looking for blogs to subscribe to. Yeah, so Data-Driven Skills and Habuma, when you guys are done with your books, let's talk about it. Send me a few autographed copies. I could give a couple away, keep one for myself, and we can talk about it on some kind of show, office hours or something. Data-Driven Skills, it doesn't matter how old it is. A new post is a new post. Got to get it out there. Jilmo, great question. What do I use to power my blog? There was a time, because I'm a developer, there was a time where I felt like I needed to stand up a server and I needed to run my own software and manage. And I don't care about any of that. I am a paid WordPress subscriber, and I let them worry about all the infrastructure, and all I do is write my posts. I've been the full gamut. I wrote my own blog engine at one point. Like, I'm done with all of that. I would much rather just be able to publish content and worry far less about the infrastructure. I just want to write my stuff. And I found that I was constantly worrying about updates and all that other stuff. So yeah, WordPress for the win, for sure. I think I pay $99 a year to WordPress for a domain and the hosting and the whole thing. So it's a very, very minor cost in the grand scheme of things. But everybody, like every developer ever, should have a blog. Here's the way that I think about blogs. We'll get on a little soapbox here for a minute. So blogs, here, we'll do this. Blogs, to me, aren't for anyone else but you. You learned a new thing, you tried a thing, you played with some technology, you have opinions, you have learnings, you have all sorts of things that you personally learned. And if you just leave it, like you built this project, you played with stuff. Like yesterday, I learned about Alexa entities. I finally built something and used it and tried it. It was awesome. And I haven't written anything down yet, but I know that if I wait 3-4 weeks before I revisit Alexa entities, I'm going to have to relearn all of it again. And I can't tell you, and this is an honest story, I cannot tell you, I cannot count the number of times that I've gone to Google and I've typed in a question like, how do I do this thing? And the first article that I find, like the #1 hit, is an article I wrote 2 years ago. It's embarrassing because I'm searching for the answer for an article that I wrote. But it doesn't need to be the best article ever written. It doesn't need to be something that you are solving the world's problems. It doesn't even have to be great code. It just has to be your thoughts on how you approached a problem. And I cannot tell you how important that is, to being able to write stuff down, share your opinions, share your philosophies, share your approach. I get so many questions about how I use Airtable that I had to write an article about it, because like if people are constantly asking me about how I use data inside an Alexa skill, then I should write that stuff down, because that means they probably started by searching. They started looking around and couldn't find any answers. And they're like, all right, I'm just going to ask Jeff, because nobody's first choice is to go hit me up. At least I don't think it is. Most people start with a web search, and any of you that are asking questions here, my assumption is that you've gone and done all your research. You've tried to find this answer on your own, and you're asking me in office hours because you couldn't find the answer, which is a lot of why I drive this stuff back as feedback, because I want people to be able to feel comfortable coming here and asking questions. But I also want to use the fact that you have these questions as a way to let the product team know that like we're missing something. There's a tech doc that needs updating, or a blog post that needs to be written, something. So Data-Driven Skills says, I started this blog in an effort to document some of the cobbling together of bits and pieces that were necessary when building a Java solution. And now I continue this blog as I cobble together bits and pieces that are necessary when building a Microsoft solution using a whole stack of technologies, including a whole list of stuff there. Awesome. What was the logic? Oh, about the Disney park stuff? Habuma's building a skill that takes advantage of the Disney park wait times. And for an on-the-go device, it's super awesome. It's also important. Jomo, I'm telling you, just write it for yourself. And if you get an audience, you get an audience. But having a blog, a public blog, you'd be amazed the number of people you help. I want to talk about one more thing related to on-the-go devices. People often think about on-the-go devices like this, right? We've got the Echo frames. This is the V2 Echo frames. God, I look just awful in glasses. But these are an on-the-go Alexa device, right? Same with the Echo Loop. But people forget that like there's a fully functional Alexa app on your phone. And in addition to that, if you don't want to talk in public, there is a keyboard mode. Are you guys all aware? Are you guys all aware of keyboard mode in the Alexa app? Because this is a bit of a game changer for those that want to use Alexa, but maybe you can't talk out loud or you don't have a device out loud. I just want to show you this. If you look up here, this is the Alexa app on my phone, right? And if you look up here at the very corner, I don't know if it can focus in that well. Do you see that little keyboard on this side of the phone over here? That little keyboard, if I tap that, I now have keyboard mode where you can see that I'm typing directly to Alexa. And so I can say things like, no, let's say open unofficial Star Wars data bank. This is one of my skills. So this is the official response from my skill. Hello, I was expecting someone with your reputation to be a little older. I can answer your questions about people and places in the Star Wars universe. What would you like to know about? And then I can say something like Luke Skywalker. Again, not talking to it, typing to it. And then there's a whole long thing about who Luke Skywalker is, right? So if you guys aren't aware of keyboard mode, you should definitely check it out because it may even change how you think about building stuff for Alexa. Because there's a lot of times where you need to talk to the device, but you can't for whatever reason. King Strunker's mentioning if you're on a call or in a meeting or something, but the keyboard mode is super, super awesome. It keeps the session open like it keeps the session open like it keeps the session open in the simulator, actually. I can come back to this minutes later and it's still there. So yeah, it's keeping the session open for you. All right, so there was a couple of things I missed. King Strunker, the sign-up page has a for Stir Trek. If you guys don't know, Stir Trek is a virtual well, it's a normal conference that I've been helping put on for about 10 years. But Stir Trek this year is going to be virtual on May 7th. And if you guys want to go and check it out, it's a free virtual event, stirtrek.com. But the King Strunker is asking because I'll let you guys get signed up for this. There's the conference link, and there you can click on the register now to find out about it. It's completely free. It'll be a full day, full day conference. It's going to be 12 sessions on May 7th. And the question you had was about why it has a Black Widow image. I didn't realize that it had a Black Widow image, but it's because we were planning on showing Black Widow at last year's event, and I think we just didn't update that graphic. So I'll talk to the team about fixing that. But no, I wish we could do something special with Black Widow, but we will have to hold off until that movie is actually released. Okay, let's see. King Strunker gave his loop away to a friend. It didn't fit. I wish more sizes were available. It slid off a lot and it was really low volume-wise on my iPhone. Anytime I was on a call or in a meeting, it would randomly cut over to the Ring for phone audio. I got really annoying to deal with. Yeah, I can understand that, which is weird because my fingers I don't consider myself to have like fat fingers, but and having lost 40 pounds in the last 6 months, like my wedding ring now, like it comes right off. Like it's barely being held on at all. But when I tried the Echo Loop, the sizing kit, I only fit and just barely fit in the largest size. Now that's probably changed a little bit since, but I thought it was weird that I had that my fingers were wearing the largest size. I don't like. I've met men that have like big hands, big fingers. There's no chance that thing would fit. So I thought that was very weird. W. Georgia, you said you don't see keyboard mode on Android. I thought it was available both places. Maybe I'm wrong. It's definitely on the iPhone app, but I thought it was on Android also. TradeLast says, now if we could get APL on the phone app. I believe that's in your feedback from last week. So I will, I'll keep an eye on that for sure. Data-driven skills. Thanks, man. Yeah, 40 pounds is a lot. I still have some work to do. I kind of plateaued out. I've been eating some things I shouldn't eat and not being as good about the diet as I was being. But I really only have, 15, maybe 20 pounds to go, I think. So I will get back on the train, especially now that it's starting to get warm out and I can go for a run. That'll make a big difference too. Thin piece of foam tape on the inside. Now it fits perfectly because the foam is compressible. It can be pressed thinner and doesn't get tight if my fingers swell. Well, that's good. Boom, a trick women have known for years when they wear a ring that's too big, especially like if they wear like a man's ring, like their dad's or their boyfriend's or husband's ring or something, is to just wrap one side of it with thread. And then you can remove the thread or do whatever. But I like the foam. I like the foam tape. That's an interesting strategy. But I see a lot of people when a ring gets too big, they'll just, I'm almost there with my wedding ring where I just have to wrap a little string around it or get it resized or whatever. There was a day when this ring was really hard to get off. So 40 pounds makes a difference everywhere, guys. It's nice. All right, it's 36. We got 24 minutes. 24. What are we going to do for these other 24 minutes? Remember, if there's other feedback that you have about what you want to see or how things work or whatever, I'm always happy to collect that from you also. So if there are things that you're like, man, I just wish this thing happened, or you have a feature request that doesn't exist today that you're like, man, I wish Alexa would do this, tell me. Like, there's no reason not to share that stuff. I'm not going to be offended that you want a thing that we don't do. And I'm happy to share that with our product team. So that's always welcome. WSLM Radio wants to know, is there a way to create an Alexa skill that would allow our radio station to stream only certain programs at certain times a day? Yes. Yeah. I believe that you could even use the music skill for this, but it's just about when you feel like, how would we do this? You have a live audio stream coming from somewhere, right? WSM Radio, I would guess you probably have a live radio station feed. That live audio feed should be able to be captured and fed through an Alexa skill. We do have a music type skill that handles this, but I think it would just play the feed always. What I'm curious, and please help me understand this, is what do you expect the skill to do when you don't have a stream? When you're not streaming a program? I'd love to know more about that. Benjamin Anderson says, here, let me make sure I grab these questions too. This is interesting, Benjamin. I love accessibility things. And so you're saying, I think it would be cool to have Alexa integration for descriptive video. Alexa can be used for the blind, integrated with Fire TV apps while watching videos. And so your plan here would be that, and I just haven't seen one of these before, so I apologize for my ignorance. Are there engines that can describe a video, like a machine learning engine that can say, oh, I see a crazy person standing in front of a bunch of pretty lights and Funko Pop figurines? Yeah, WSLM, I think that you could definitely do this. This is definitely something that would need to happen. The challenge is you don't stream traditionally now, so we have to figure out how to catch that radio stream and feed that out someplace over the internet. But I think that will be your heaviest lift. The rest of it is quite easy to play an audio stream inside a skill. Pretty easy. Let's see. Mujahid said it would be nice to be able to access the location in the developer console instead of physical devices. What does that mean? Access the location. Facebook Live Audio. Okay. But you're feeding your station into Facebook Live Audio somehow, right? So again, I don't know enough about the creation of an audio stream and how you funnel that stuff out, but it seems to me that being able to stream the audio out of whatever facility you have is the hard part. And once you have that, which you're already doing with Facebook Live, they may have extensions that allow you to feed this out to other things, but what you basically need is an endpoint that is the live stream. And then there are a ton of tutorials out there on how to build a audio streaming Alexa skill. But you need to have the stream in order to do that. So that's the only hang up catch I think you might run into. Oh, what else we have here? Data Driven Skills is looking for reviewers of his book. So I'll read a chapter or two if you want me to take a look. I don't know enough about Python, but I would be happy to take a look. I can still tell you whether or not I think the code's good, because if it's not readable, then it's not good. But I'm sure your code would be just fine. I guess I can take that off. Did you guys also know that I started a podcast? For those of you that have been watching the Alexa and Friends video streams, there's now Alexa and Friends, the podcast. And so you guys can head over here. And if you like listening to podcasts, or you just want to listen to me ramble on with some amazingly smart people and hear the answer to questions about ducks and horses, if you guys don't know about that, you got to tune in. But yeah, all of the episodes are being launched there. So I'm pushing out one a week right now. Eventually we'll get caught up to today. But yeah, that's another thing to check out for you. What else you guys got for me? I want to know, Benjamin, I want to know more about this descriptive video. I'm imagining there probably is the ability for a machine learning engine to describe a scene. So I'd love to, I haven't seen one, but I'm imagining, let's go do some searching. Descriptive video service. Very interesting. Send myself a note to reach out to Data Driven Skills here a little later. Although Data Driven, you may have my email address. If you do, you're feel free to just send stuff over, but otherwise I'll reach out to you later. Okay, what else do we have? What else is going on with everybody? We've talked about projects people are working on. We've talked about questions people have. We introduced the keyboard mode for those of you guys who haven't seen that before. All right, it's so quiet. WSLM changed their wake word to computer, which is cool at home to use that around the grandkids. I'll bet that's super cool. I just think there's something still so magical about voice interactions, talking to AI. Man, it's cool. I'm waiting to outgrow it. I'm waiting for it to be like, it's just a thing, but it still blows my mind every time it works. There's so much science and research and technology packed into that one little interaction. It's just amazing. I'm with you, Data Driven Skills. It is the future. We have only scratched the surface of what's going to be possible. And I think a lot of the capabilities it's not about the voice anymore. Like voice works pretty well. It's about building AI systems that can make our lives easier. I give a whole talk about people and AI in the future, and I'm really looking forward to the world where my AI is taking care of a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise have to think about or worry about. And now that I don't have to do any of that stuff, I can dedicate more of my time to innovation and invention and all sorts of awesome, awesome stuff. And data-driven skills, I'm with you. Open APIs that can integrate with AI and Alexa. We need big knowledge graphs. We need all the data all the time. I keep coming back to baseball cards because that's something I've gotten into again recently. And there's so much data, just raw data about baseball cards, what the card number is, who the player is, how many variations there are of it, what they're worth, what series they're from, what year they came out. Like there's just so much. How many were produced? I wish I could get all of that data. It exists somewhere. Someone knows. And it's not secret. It's just not published. But let's make all of the data published. Let's make it all accessible via an API so that I can compose and mix and match things together to get us something even awesomer. Yeah, we're really still very much at the beginning of the future, and I can't wait to see where we end up. I'm going to step away for just 1 second. Looked like I had some important emails. I do not. I get so much email, and it looked urgent. What else we got, everybody? The future is why I want to create a cross-bank banking skill for Alexa. That would be awesome. I like it. This is something that you're actively working on? That's cool. I mean, I think that there's a lot of companies that have sprung up that I think that was probably at least their early inspiration was the idea of cross-bank banking. I mean, think about things like Cash App and Venmo and Zelle. Those were all meant to kind of try to solve that problem a little bit, but I'm with you. I am always okay with you sending $50 to Jeff. In fact, that might be the whole feature of the skill. It's just for me. Just send money to me. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. So you feel they all fell short? I don't know. I feel like Venmo is rolling. I feel like they're doing very well. I feel like Cash App didn't get the traction they needed. Most people, if I ask them if they want to use Cash App, they don't even know what that is. PayPal has too many fees. I just feel like, I don't know, there's something about PayPal that bugs me. But all of those services were generally most of those services were generally meant to think about this, right? How do I move money from one account to the other? Another thing that I don't like, and this is something that PayPal and Venmo do, is that they have their own accounts, right? So you have an account where your money lives, and I like something like Zelle where it's just the facility of the transaction, but when someone pays me, the money's just immediately in my bank account. Oh, I see what you're saying, data-driven skills. Well, I think one of the other challenges to all of this is there is a lot of legislative red tape. It's the same reason why, like, checking and savings accounts don't pay any interest to anyone ever anymore. And I don't understand the difference, but there are laws specifically driving certain kinds of accounts certain ways. And so I think the reason that you're frustrated, the reason that you want to do this stuff is because it makes sense, right? I want to be able to move my money wherever I want it at any time. But the problem is that there's a lot of monitoring that goes on bank accounts at a federal and state level to make sure that people aren't laundering money and doing a bunch of weird transactions. And so that's why we can't do a lot of this stuff. I used to just transfer money between bank accounts at the same bank. We used to have these weird transfers that we would do a couple times a month, and we found out there was a limit of 12. And I called him. I was like, why? Like, it's my money in my bank accounts. Why are you limiting how and where I can move my money? And they're like, it's a federal law. Like we can't, it's not our policy. It's just, that's how many times you're allowed to move money in a month. And I was moving hundreds of dollars, right? Not nothing fancy, nothing exorbitant. But there are a bunch of laws that dictate, and this is one of the biggest problems with being on the forefront of technology, is that we are 20 years ahead of the law, 20 years easily. And these laws are going to take forever to catch up. It just doesn't, that's not how laws work, unfortunately. I am Jake Levi wants to know where he can get one of these slick hoodies. You can't. You'd have to work on the Alexa team at reInvent. In fact, this was something that we had made up for reInvent. It has my name on the sleeve. Look at that, my Twitter handle. You guys see that? So one of the things I will tell you, I am Jake Levi, is that I am actively working on creating an Alexa apparel store. I don't know when I'm going to get it done, but I am working on creating a place where you can get some cool Alexa swag like this. So that will be coming in 2021 sometime, I hope, if I can find the time to do it. Every time I think I've got a good window, 75 people pull my time away. So we'll figure out how to make it happen. Also, if you have ideas, any of you, if you have ideas on cool things that we could make, t-shirts or sayings or slogans or whatever, I imagine there's probably going to be a horse and duck kind of thing, or like lots of like inside jokes. That kind of stuff is always super cool. A Witters still has a few pairs of the Alexa socks. I do too. I'm not wearing any today, but I do have some of the Alexa socks. I have so many Alexa t-shirts from when we were doing that years ago. 12:52. We have 8 minutes. W. Georgia, what is stellar? Interesting. Interesting. It's clever. I do worry though. Like there are some assurances, but there are some assurances when you work with traditional banking, insurance, and all sorts of stuff, so that you're not gonna end up with all of your money just vanishing one day. I think that's going to be a hard thing for people to get over. I still am, like, I like what I'm seeing with blockchain and things like Bitcoin, but not enough for me to get into it. I can't do it. It still feels, it's a hype machine, and I don't trade in hype. So hopefully, I mean, if that's where we move, if that's where the world's financial systems move, I'm in. Let's do it. But call me old-fashioned that way. I'm just not ready for crypto yet. Benjamin Anderson says, yes, apparel would be amazing. I've had to make my own shirt. I would definitely purchase a bunch. Awesome. WLSM Radio wants to know, you're new to the channel, but I just wanted to ask, how often is Alexa updated? Is it an annual thing with major updates, or do you update Alexa incrementally? It is highly likely, though I don't actually see the entire release calendar, it's highly likely that Alexa is updated several times a day, to be perfectly honest, because it's a cloud service and that can happen. There is also the developer side of things, where our tools and technologies and things for building stuff for Alexa gets released. And that is on, I would call it a quarterly release, but generally the summer and the fall are when most of our stuff can explode. And so there will be a whole bunch of new announcements as we roll through this year, but a lot of them will be concentrated in the summer and the fall. But the Alexa service itself, the voice and the AI that lives inside your device, that is updated on a quite regular basis. I would imagine it's maybe even hourly. I don't know how often they deploy, but it's frequent. What are some new things that we're working on? I can't share that. I can't talk about roadmap. As much as I would like to tell you guys about all the cool stuff that's coming this year, I can't do that. I like my job, and I would be fired if I told you. So I'd rather not do that. I'd rather continue working with all of you awesome people. But I promise, very cool stuff coming. Very cool. Yeah, Goldzula, I'm the same way with NFT and TradeLast. NFT, again, I see where there are cool things, but NFT is another one of those things like everything that seems to be on the blockchain. When is Alexa live? I don't think we've announced Alexa live yet, so I don't know the specific date. It's generally in mid to late July, but I don't know when it will be. How does a person get to work at Alexa? Well, WSLM Radio, it's surprisingly accessible. So let me go here. You can go to Amazon.jobs. I could type. And in Amazon.jobs, you can type in Alexa. And in here, there are all sorts of roles. There are currently 2,779 roles available on the Alexa team. So how about that? There are plenty and plenty of opportunities to work on the Alexa team. Yeah, what's that? What's this one? This would be coming to work with me and Jomo. Pretty cool. This would be someone on our team. Solution architects. YouTube, we don't have, I don't think we've named anybody. Or do you mean like the name of the German voice? Like, does it have a name? The best you're going to find is something like this. If I go to AWS Poly, it depends. It depends greatly. And actually now is a good time to have those conversations. A lot of them will say that this job, like if we open up a job, it'll say this one's in Arlington, Virginia. But I work in Ohio. I don't work near any offices. So I think it will vary from job to job. But I wouldn't let that prevent you from applying. Let that prevent you from accepting the job. But I think if they find you and they like you and they're willing to make you an offer, then you can worry about where you're going to live or how that's going to work. I think the last year has demonstrated to a lot of people that remote work is just fine. People can get a lot done remotely. Let's get in here to Poly. I don't know if I'm answering your question, by the way, about the German Poly voice, but I think this is the best bet I have for you. So we come in here and we say German. There's Marlene, Vicky, and Hans. So you said the what is the German voice from Alexa? So this is Marlene.
Hallo, mein Name ist Marlene. Ich werde jeden Text vorlesen, den Sie eingeben.
This is Vicky.
Hallo, mein Name ist Vicky. Ich werde jeden Text vorlesen, den Sie eingeben.
And this is Hans.
Hallo, mein Name ist Hans. Ich werde jeden Text vorlesen, den Sie eingeben.
So I don't know if those are the ones you're referring to, or if you're referring to the voice that you hear that is just the German Alexa voice. That doesn't have a name. It's just Alexa. Are they? Let's see. Am I a Reds fan? I am not a Reds fan. I'm an Indians fan. I grew up in the Cleveland area, and so no, very much an Indians fan. I mean, I appreciate the Reds, but they're not something I pay much attention to. Tasha Penwell has an interview with Amazon this Thursday. Congratulations, and that's exciting. Good luck to you. How often are the wake-up word models updated at the Edge device? I think that I don't have any real answers for you on how often the devices are updated. But you often know that the device is updating itself because it'll spin its blue light for just a little while. So, but I don't know how frequently that's updated. But it's relatively frequent, I would think. Probably maybe once a month if I had to guess. The total guesswork though. That's not based on any data or information. But I do see my devices asked to be updated once in a while. All right, we are at time. This has been a fantastic conversation. Lots of really great questions. Thank you guys all for being here. I really, really enjoy office hours. It's a good opportunity to talk with all of you, understand what you're thinking about, what you're doing, and I hope we get to do more of this kind of stuff. So with that, I'm going to sign off for today, but we will be back here tomorrow, I believe. Greg Bullmash will be here during this hour to talk about APL. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be doing another interview on Alexa and Friends. So keep your noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacifics open for the next 2 days because we've got some great stuff for you. Otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday here at Office Hours. Take care, everybody. And oh, by the way, don't forget, join the Slack. I mentioned it earlier, but get into the Alexa Slack. I can't recommend it enough. Such a great community, great way to get your questions answered, and a great way to find other people that are working on stuff just like you. So check it out. All right, everybody take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.